Hi guys, what's up? It is day 2 of the lockdown lifting program, whatever you want to call it. Again, you're not going to need any equipment for this, but I've got a few examples to show you if you do have like some dumbbells or bands or whatever laying around at home. So today is going to be a little bit of like upper body-ish kind of stuff. So let's get into it. So number 1 is going to be tempo push-ups and YTWs. So tempo push-ups, we're going to do 3 seconds on the way down. That's the only tempo that I'm prescribing. If that's too easy, then you can either do longer tempos, you can add a pause at the bottom, you can like raise your feet and make it a little bit harder that way. But if you need to make it a bit more difficult, feel free. If you need to wind it back a notch, you can just do normal push-ups, you can do it from the knees. There's a whole bunch of ways to make things easier and harder, so feel free to be a wee bit creative with it. But tempo push-ups, all we're going to do is assume our push-up position, and we're going to do 3 seconds down, no pause, and just normal on the way up. So 1, 2, 3, back up, 1, 2, 3, back up, 1, 2, 3. Nice and easy. If you want to make the push-ups more challenging and you've got a band, then you can throw the band around. 1, 2, 3, back up. If you don't have a band, then as I said, you can pop your feet up on something. 1, 2, 3. And just change the angle a little bit that way. Push-ups nice and easy. Make sure you're not flaring your elbows out. You want them to be sort of 45 degrees or tucked in. Out here, not super great on the shoulders. Now YTWs, we're going to do 5 to 10 reps of each. So 5 to 10 reps on the Y, 5 to 10 reps on the T, 5 to 10 reps on the W. Hello, Shahan. So YTWs are just the shape that you make as you're doing the thing. So we're going to make a Y, a T, and a W. Now it is helpful if you've got something that you can lay off to do these. So if you do have a bench, great, but you can just do them on the floor. And if you don't have little weights laying around, then you can use a water bottle. You don't need a ton of weight for these at all, especially if we're doing, potentially 30 reps. If you do 10, 10, 10, the Y to the T, the W. So don't feel like you're missing out if you have heavy weights for these, because even if you're at the gym, you're not using heavy weights. So again, we're going to be doing the Ys, the Ts, and the Ws. Now, as I'm doing these, it's a very light touch on the ground, so I'm not fully relaxing when I hit the ground. I'm doing a Y, grazing the ground, next one, grazing the ground, next one, same for the T's, same for the W's. I'm going to pause while Shahan gets his shit, and I'll be back. Alright guys, superset number 2, we're going to be doing dips and Superman back extensions. Dips, we're just going to use a bench, a couch, 2 chairs, whatever you've got available. This style of dip, where your hands are really like behind you, is just be a little bit careful, because it puts a reasonable amount of stress on the shoulder. So with these, you're not trying to go as deep as you can. So when I'm doing dips, I'm trying to go just down to like 90 degrees and then back up, 90 degrees and back up. I'm not trying to go all the way down and then back up, because when I get really far down, the stress on my shoulder is just not something I'm particularly fond of. If you're super flexible and it feels fine to you, you can play around with it. Just keep in mind that sometimes you're playing with something that will bite you a little. There's nothing wrong with going 90 degrees and up, 90 degrees up, and keeping that feeling of contraction and everything on the tricep. Like, I'm not trying to feel my shoulder joint working, I'm trying to feel my tricep working. So that's where I want to keep my tension. So if you're doing them on a bench, on a chair, whatever it may be, so you might have 2 chairs next to one another, you might have 1 chair behind you, just make sure whatever you're using is stable. But you're just going to get your palms onto the thing, whatever it may be. Play around with where you want your feet. Down, back up, down, back up. Squeezing the triceps. So as I come down, I'm squeezing my triceps close to me, yeah? And it gives you a nice, solid tricep contraction. All right, Superman back extensions. So Supermans are where you're laying down on the ground, hands out in front like Superman, and you lift up. So as you might guess, Superman back extensions are going to be from a similar position. The way that we're going to do them, or the way that I'm going to recommend doing them, is just going hands behind your head, elbows out to the side, lifting up, nice and easy. Now again, same as the YTWs, I'm not fully relaxing at the bottom, so my nose is touching the ground, but I'm not relaxing my whole weight. So I'm not going fully back onto the ground, I'm coming up, just getting back to nose touching, coming up, and so on. If you want to make these a little bit harder and you trust yourself to like hang off something, so it could be like a bed, bench, especially if you've got someone to like hold your feet, then you can do them off the edge. This isn't going to look very graceful, but if I hook my legs on, I can then do extensions a little lower, like a little bit of a bigger range of motion. Not pretty, not graceful, but one way that you could increase the range of motion. All right, superset number 3 is just going to be some shoulder work, so front raises and lateral raises. Now the way we're going to do these is, you might be like, well, if I've got no equipment, how do I do these? So you don't need a lot of weight for shoulder work because the shoulders are small muscles in general. A lot of the time they respond well to really high reps anyway. So what I'm going to suggest is that you get like a 1.5, 2 litre bottle, fill it up, and just use that as your weight. Okay? Is it going to be light? Relatively, yes. Is it still going to let you get a good shoulder workout in? Also yes. So if you have 2 of these, which I do not, so I'm just going to use these. So front raise, nice and easy. Can do them seated, can do them standing. You're just going to raise up, come down. All I'm trying to do is get a little bit above parallel. I'm not trying to go all the way, because once I start to get like above here, gravity is going to act less and less, like it's going to get easier right at the top. So I want to keep it in this sort of nice, heavy gravity zone. Okay? If I was seated, I'm just going to go off in front, nice and easy. You can play around with internal, external rotation. So personally, I tend to feel shoulder stuff best, with a little bit of internal rotation. So instead of being neutral, I'm going to slightly internally rotate as I do front raises and lateral raises, just because they help me feel my shoulders better as I do the movement. Your mileage may vary. You might feel best neutral, you might feel external rotation is a bit more comfortable on the shoulders. If you're getting shoulder pain, play around with internal, external rotation. to varying degrees. If nothing's comfortable, then don't feel like you have to force yourself to do it. Like, you shouldn't be in pain when you're training. But you know, if you find that a little bit of internal rotation or external rotation lets you feel things better in terms of that muscular contraction, feel free to use it, as long as it doesn't hurt. Okay, so front raises, nice and easy. And then lateral raises, same deal. You can change up lateral raises if you like and do them like a hammer grip, up to you. But seated, standing, again, doesn't really matter. So we're going to slightly, if you're me, you're going to slightly internally rotate. We're going to go just above parallel. Get a nice little crunch in the shoulder. Yep. So if you're doing them hammer style, I prefer to have something to sit against, like a high back chair. But I'm still going to slightly internally rotate and just keeping them in that range. So I'm not coming all the way down, I'm trying to keep tension on the muscle the whole time. Like down here, not much tension. Up here, not much tension. So I'm just staying in the middle where I can feel my muscles actually working, actually having to resist the load. Alright, that's day 2. Hope you enjoyed. Stay tuned for day 3. Is that you're going to be, there's a little bit more focus